Hello, welcome to Talking It Out podcast number one.
We're here.
We're just going to talk about, I don't know, spiritual stuff, and we're going to drink beer because we don't believe that you cannot drink beer and be spiritual. We don't believe that you have to be vegan and be spiritual, which is fine for all those that do. Maybe God is just better to us than others. I don't know. He didn't put that limit on me, so thank you.
Just do whatever you want, as long as you're happy.
Oh, I didn't even have my microphone on. Hopefully everybody heard me. So anyway, the first topic that I told Caleb we weren't going to talk about, but now we're going to real quick.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. So I have never been able to understand what it means to hold space. What do you think it means, Caleb?
Well, at first I thought you meant like a parking space. But I looked it up and it said that there's a psychological meaning behind it, meaning like supplying somebody an area or I guess a space where they can feel not judged and not have the normal anxiety that they have from whatever it could be. It could be too wide of a variety to really break it down.
Okay. I mean, I like that. I like that definition, but I've heard people say stuff like, "Oh, well, I'm holding space for you." And I'm like, "Thank
think
you." Like, I don't like.
Sounds like a very easy way for them to be like, I care, and if you need somebody to talk to, I'm here.
And maybe it's another way to say like, "I'm praying for you," or I feel for what you're going through.
It's if it's a way to say that you're praying for somebody, it's like a way to not be religious about it, but spiritual.
Where's your microphone?
Right here.
I don't know if that's gonna work.
Should we check back? Hello.
No, we'll just let everybody know that we're amateurs in the very first video.
Yeah, first time. Not. I had to drink beer to be on camera.
Yeah. So anyway, okay, well, the holding space, I'm going to talk to a bunch of people about that because, again, I still just don't completely get it. And I'm just wondering if it's bullshit. If you have an opinion about what holding space means, please let us know in the comments. Yeah. Enlighten me, please, because it sounds nice. And if it's nice, I would love to know. So
I only read the first Google pop-up, which might have been AI. Gotcha. And it just seemed very, very broad. So
yeah,
it didn't really pinpoint like what I was hoping for.
True. By the way, my name is Amy, and this is my son, Caleb. He's so cute. Anyway, okay, so the next topic I picked is how do we escape and or avoid, maybe in the first place, the debt slave system? Some thoughts on that?
Well, for a long time I wasn't a part of it, at least not to the point where I was in debt. So that was nice, but I was still a slave to my job. So
because you had to have an apartment, or you had to you had to have
like
money to live,
but at least I had money.
But it wasn't debt.
No, yeah, exactly. Now I'm in debt, not crazy amounts, but still. So it adds a whole nother blanket to that weight. But
so wait, is it an apartment debt? Even though you can officially get out of a lease, isn't it still kind of debt? Like you have to pay it.
Well, it's a sign on to I'm gonna have to have this money every month for however long my lease is.
Yeah.
But the thing is that I think that you're not a slave until you're not fully content with your situation. So if somebody that I know who lives in the same unit loves her apartment and she's happy to work and pay for it to have her own space, but I'm not. So everybody could be a little different in what is making them stuck.
What do you think debt slave means? What do you think it actually means?
It means that even though you don't want to, you're going to go to the job that you hate every day, or you don't necessarily have to hate it, but basically you're going to go through experiences constantly every day and justify it just because it's kind of what you've made your reality.
Yeah.
So basically I think the way to get out of it is to make your reality something that you enjoy, which in a lot of cases isn't going to be keeping up with the Joneses. Maybe it is. Maybe you want a Lexus and to live in Indian Hill, but
that's in Cincinnati, by the way.
Yeah, Cincinnati, Ohio. Look up Indian Hill; it's nice.
It's very nice.
but like for me, I'd be totally content with a trailer in a nice enough neighborhood where I don't have to worry about getting robbed, and the belongings that I have would be like my gaming PC and then enough money to go out with my friends. And if I had to miss work, it doesn't matter because I've got a little bit of money in the bank. But that's the other issue, is that a lot of jobs that I've dealt with don't allow you to have that kind of freedom. It's you're going to be there for 40 hours, and I get that. That's what you signed on to, but all of us have.
You agree to it.
I feel like as a collective, everybody's kind of agreed to the point where the employer controls a lot more than we'd like,
For
and
some
that's
reason, the person
reality.
with the money, rather than it being like this equal exchange of I'm going to do this for you and you're going to do this for me, it's become the person with the money is the person that rules, and you agree to it, but they're ruling like your free time, your
Yeah.
what you do, and it's kind of like it's kind of like a master slash servant relationship where I wonder why.
Well, yeah, but I've had I don't know, I can't even count how many jobs I've had, and I've had so many different variants of that, even where it's not the same, but they didn't give me enough where I was able to stay. Um,
Sure.
but right now I contract for Procter and Gamble, and it sounds great, and it is cool, other than working with cancer-causing chemicals all day long. Uh, and I'm not trying to be all naturalist. I read the safety data sheets and I see what they do. Um,
I don't know if we can say that kind of stuff,
why is P&G going
but
to
we'll
come
find
after?
out. I don't know.
Oh man, I mean, if a mother and son make P&G that upset, but that's the thing, is they have the power. Luckily I'm part time, but they want me to work 40, but I can adjust my hours, and they're not happy with it. Some of them don't understand. The guy who I work for has been there for almost 30 years. He's 3 months away. He's an awesome guy, but he also can't fathom how I could even not work 40 hours.
Right. Well, and the conditioning in that generation is so different. Like, I mean, the conditioning of my parents was if you work hard, if you go to school and you work hard and then get a college degree, your life will just be magically wonderful. That's they didn't say those words. That's how I felt. And actually, when I do have a degree, I went to Thomas More College and got a business degree, and I really thought I was working towards the key to success and happiness. And I'm not saying that it doesn't provide that for some people. It did not provide that for me because we're different kind of people, I guess.
Yeah, no, and I feel like a lot of people get out of high school and they rush into college, which some people really know what they want, but I didn't go to college, and I'm glad, because I know I wouldn't have picked what was worth the debt to be in, where I'd
Yeah.
be happy. Now I have a few ideas, and I would actually, even if I went into debt for the schooling, I would at least enjoy my career. But I'm now
Yeah, and we're not
26, and
anti-college. We're not anti-education.
no,
It's just, is it necessary? Which a lot of people are obviously knowing. A lot of people know this now. It's like, what's the return on your investment, really? Unless if you don't have a clear path, I don't know that it's. I don't believe it's worth it.
no,
But
I mean, yeah, I mean, my whole after I hated school so much because I had to be there, and I felt like I didn't have to be.
yeah,
So I dropped out of high school and have never had an issue since. I mean, like, yeah, there's some jobs that I've applied for that required college degrees, and I still got them. So
oh man, the blowback that we got because, well, first of all, me being his mom, people were like, "How can you not make him go to?" I'm like, because I know him and it's not for him. And they're like, well, he can't get a job. Well, he did. They said he can't get a factory job. Well, he did. Well, he can't make this much money. Well, he did. And
yeah,
frankly, he has the heart of an entrepreneur.
yeah, I
And I
like
know
him.
you don't need a college degree for that because we have examples in our family of people that are well off and they didn't go to college. You don't need that
No,
for
and
being an
what's
entrepreneur.
funny is a lot of the stuff I've made money off of is just through skills that I've learned. I love working on cars, and as soon as you tell somebody that, and they know they cannot pay a mechanic's price, but still a chunk of change, I have jobs all the time lined up.
Yeah.
So
But back to the debt. So what I think debt slave system means is that it's set up so where, okay, and I think a lot of people know this, but for me, this is what it means. So you get out of high school, you go to college. A lot of people cannot pay directly for college anymore, so they have to get loans. So you start out in debt, of course. Everybody knows that. Then you want a car to get yourself to your job. You go into debt for that, and then you eventually want a home. You have to go into debt for that. Because you're not being paid that much at a job where you work for somebody else, which there's nothing wrong with working for other people. Um,
no,
However, the way
that's
it's set up, the wages are not enough to, you know, to do something like that. You're going to have to You have to think outside the box to escape the debt slave system. So that's what I've been
Or you
trying to
have
do for many
to
years.
quote unquote settle, depending on how you. It's I don't want to say it's settling because I think happiness is better than well, your
Why do
environment.
you have to settle?
When I say settle, I mean rationalize not buying a brand new car, getting a used car, which is you can consider that settling, or you consider it not being $30,000 in debt like I did one time. So
Did you read Rich Dad Poor Dad?
no.
So this book, your uncle Kenny actually recommended this book to me a long time ago, and I mean, I feel like he goes kind of extreme about his opinions and the way he sets it all up. But overall, the gist of the book is you don't need college, which he did go to college, the writer of the book, by the way. And you live by cash only, and you find ways to make more cash. And if you want a 300,000, 500,000, $1 million home, then you get that. You do a business, or you find your path that way,
Mm-hmm.
and you never go in debt unless it's for business. He says, because then there are, like, obviously going into debt in a business, there can be a lot of
Debt can make you money.
that can make you money, and there can even be well, of course, we know for a mortgage you get or even student loans. If you're paying your student loans, your interest can come up on your taxes, but and with the businesses, the loopholes for taxes are even better, way better. But going back to the debt slave definition, I think it's where you're not realizing that there are other ways to live life other than what we've been told is the way to do it. Like, I mean, I don't know about you, but me in my generation, I mean, I feel like a lot of people feel like if you don't own a house, like there's this expression, it's don't even have a pot to piss in, or like
Mm-hmm.
you are not a grown up unless you have a house.
Yeah, that's what I meant by
Like you're
keeping
not,
up.
yeah, you're not even
Yeah,
worthy of respect because you're still a child, basically, if you don't have a house. And it's like, I don't I don't want a house
yeah. No,
right now. I might later, but I don't want one right now.
it's not that I even don't want one, but I'd go buy one that is well, I don't know if it's possible anymore, but $50,000 that can barely be even moved into, and then fix it up myself.
Yeah.
Rather than buying the brand new amazing house that's just move in ready turnkey. Um, but no, I hear what you're saying. I think it's just that people rationalize quick decision that they don't really want to because they want to keep up with what is considered the upper echelons, and that doesn't even mean like
And just normal.
yeah, I guess just
Like I
normal, yeah.
think, like, I really thought that there was just a path everyone follows. So you go to high school, you make good grades. You go to college, you graduate, you get a job, you meet a husband, you have children, you buy a house. Like I didn't even know that there were, like,
Other realities,
other realities like that. That's what you
or
do.
you were a
That's
low life.
that's life. That's life, and that's what you do. And so I didn't even think that it could be different. It's just like that's what you do. And I think a
Yeah,
lot of people have a hard time thinking outside the box that way.
yeah. I mean,
Not everybody,
like
obviously.
with your reality, it was that or be a low life,
Yeah,
basically.
yeah.
Um, and then in my generation, it was kind of like be an outcast or
You're
follow
you're
suit.
not as good. Yeah.
Yeah, but I just like with Austin, my cousin.
Hmm.
He was my first example of somebody who barely made that much money, but he was the happiest person I've ever known. But he truly woke up happy to go to work and came home and was content with what the little bit he had at home. And but it didn't matter that he didn't have everything. It did, and to me that is freedom from that system. Now, yeah, he does have to work, but he actually enjoyed his life to an extent that most people I know don't.
Hmm.
Um, and that's my goal right now. Like, so I don't mind working, but I mean, I'm gonna try bartending, try flight attending, try. But my whole life I've been either a detailer, working on boats, working on cars, uh, a warehouse manager. Uh, but it's not what makes me happy. I am late every day to my job, and the only reason that they let me keep it is because I get the job done. Um, but I don't enjoy that part of my life, and that's 8 hours of my day, if not, or less, because I'm part time. But not, it's been eight
And I
hours.
don't think either one of us are even saying that, like, there aren't things that you're going to have to do every day that you don't really want to do.
No.
Um,
Yeah.
you know, and I'm not even against people working for others. I'm not against capital. I love capitalism. I mean, I'm not saying, I just, there, some people are not meant to get up and go to work and just pay the bills and just have enough to barely enjoy the rest of their life.
Well, I could be hated for saying this, but I feel like a lot of times some people are the reason why they don't have as much money though, because they're going for that standard that they want. But when you got rent, a car payment, doesn't matter if it's new or not, a car payment, you've got the gym membership, Netflix, Hulu, you got I mean you are the one who
I have
signed
all
on.
those.
Yeah, well, sorry, oops,
That's true.
and kids. Um, you're you're the one that created that reality, but you can still work out of it. Um, so like it's not it's a double sided thing.
Yeah.
Because it was when I finally had enough money, I was like, I can afford a new car, and I could, and I had a down payment and everything, but it ended up selling the car and realizing that wasn't I didn't like that. And
Yeah.
right now I got and I never could fathom even understanding how somebody could owe money on a credit card that they didn't have, and here I am.
Right.
And it's not that bad, but it's still like paying 26% interest on $100.
Yeah.
Even just that, goddamn, 26. So yeah,
Well, I made an attempt to escape the debt slave system. I did pretty good, except I did still have a car payment, which, whew, it makes a difference. Um,
yeah.
I I got out of a home that I was living in and gave away almost all my stuff. Not all of
I've got
it.
3 cars paid off. Honest,
True.
they're
But I
all.
still kept a lot of things in storage because I just couldn't let go of some things like my books and jewelry and other things. But so I tried like being just a nomad traveling, but I didn't prepare for it. And actually, that's how a lot of people are escaping the debt slave system. They are, and a lot of older people that just have Social Security, they go out on the road.
Yeah,
They live in their,
and their means though.
well, they live within their means. They find a way to travel all over the United States, staying in national parks and Bureau of Land Management
And that
land.
might not
And
be what somebody wants, but like still,
no,
yeah.
that's not settling for some people. Some people, they think it's the best thing they ever did in their whole life because they just finally have freedom and a lot of joy and a lot of healing from being out there. But some people truly just can't afford life and they do that. But so yeah, but then for me, I'm only 50, so I wasn't ready to be away from my. I don't. Well, I'll never be ready to be away from my kiddos.
I can't get away.
You
No,
know,
I'm
you're
sure.
never getting away. You are stuck forever. You're stuck with me. But so yeah, so like right now I'm back in Cincinnati, and my partner just moved in with me, which is really nice. And I have an apartment right next to my daughter, and my son's close here in Cincinnati. But right when I signed the lease, I felt this heavy, heavy, heavy pressure of just being back in that game of, you got to make enough money to pay all those bills, to pay this, to pay that. And it's not ideal for me. That's why, I mean, I've started a lot of, I had a pretty successful business as a quantum healing hypnosis practitioner. I've done a few other things, other little businesses, and I still haven't figured out what I want to do. But for me, that is, I think, for me, it's going to be how to escape the debt slave system is getting and finding and enjoying ways of receiving, making money that are true to who I am really, um, and
I,
not just working for somebody else.
yeah, I think the key for me is mindset because I found that as I'm getting a little older, I'm my mindset about things is not as positive as it should be. I make myself not like certain things that wouldn't typically bother me, even if they're not necessarily okay. It shouldn't bother me as much as it does. And then also utilizing my time correctly, because I let myself get so wore out from the 6 to 8 hours I'm at work that by the time I get home, I do nothing to advance what would actually help me in the long run.
Yeah, that's another thing about being in the system for me.
Mm.
Exact same thing. Like I'm spending so much of my energy and it sucks my soul, and I don't know why. Maybe because I'm not meant for it, but whatever. And I'm sure there are like lots of people out there that feel the exact same way. It's like you said, once you get home, it's like I have all these things. Like I have all these songs I want to learn for my guitar, and I have like embroidery that I want to
Yeah.
do. I want to all these things I want to create, all these videos I want to do, and I get home and I'm like, I don't want to do any of that.
Yeah. When I
I want
started
to. I want mind candy, some kind of show or
something
some kind
to
of YouTube
distract
video.
me.
Yeah, just distract
And then
me
I just
till I
want to
go to
go to
sleep.
bed, but then the reality is I wake up and go right back into it again. But yeah, no, I mean, I do the same thing. I used to be so much better about it. At least I had enough energy for an hour of practicing piano or an hour of working on music or going out with friends. I don't even do that as much because I just am like, "Ah, I just don't want to." And every time I do, I feel accomplished in some way,
Hmm.
and yet you would think that knowing that I would continue to do so, and I'm not. So
Yeah, and that's probably why we haven't been completely successful yet, because we do have these bursts of creativity, and I have created a lot of content. Well, I mean, I have the two YouTube channels that have a lot of content on them, but then I also have all the other stuff that I did when I had my business. I did a blog, and I did,
yeah,
so I'm proud of all that. And at the same time, what is lacking in all of that was consistency. When I
consistent.
was consistent and working on it consistently, everything was growing.
Yeah.
Do you think
Um.
we just didn't find our thing yet, or do you think there's something else,
Um. Well, I mean, it's different for every
or
person,
maybe it's both?
but for you, I mean, it could have been a mixture of if you didn't like, even though it was growing, was it not growing to what you had maybe thought, or you were still doing pretty similar the same things throughout videos, and it wasn't fully what you wanted, even though you were doing the overall subject that you wanted, which was creating content. Maybe you still weren't narrowing it down towards the real you. I don't know.
So, like, if you're having the same issue, like, would you comment like what you think, what your issue is, why you haven't been successful yet? If you've been working on something, I really think for me, I just did not stick with things. When I stuck with things, I was successful. Like whether
Hmm.
it was the going to school or whether it was like career things that I did have, because I did work a career before I started my own businesses. But when I stuck with things and just kept working at them, they did work out. But
Yeah,
I'm a double Gemini, and so I do lose interest very easily.
a
But
double. Gem.
yeah, so Gemini Sun and Gemini Moon.
Ah,
Yeah.
you were born at 12.
Yeah, grandma said it's like 12.
Oh, okay. Hmm. Interesting.
But it's not because I was born at 12. It's just because that's where my signs were at the time.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I thought maybe like the sun was going down,
No, no.
and then
I don't think he knows anything about astrology, which is all right.
I'm a Virgo. I know that
He
much.
knows that much,
Yep.
which is my rising sign.
Oh, okay. So that was coming up as you were going down. But okay. So yeah. No, I mean, it's. I think that what we need to say is what would help us, because everybody's going to be different. Although I can't, I've had a lot of people that for some reason that one thing they said just really stuck with me. Um, so not saying,
You know what's funny is one thing that really stuck with me is when I graduated from college, and there were people give all these different speeches, and this one guy, he got up there and they're like telling us who he is, and he's like all these different things that he's successful at, and he got it up there. He got up to the podium and he's like, "I'm just going to say one thing: aim high and keep your aim." And I that resonated with me so much when he said that, and I still believe that's how I would obtain a six. Oh, his dog's in there. She's being all cute.
she's like,
But
why can I be out here?
yeah, she wants us to come inside. Well, is there anything else you want to say about the debt slave system?
Um, if you're not truly content in really any aspect, I do think it's possible to get there almost fully. I think that upsetness or dissatisfaction only is a good drive to make it better. So it will always be there, but then theoretically you'll always get better. But me personally, I'm not doing the right things to get better.
Same. I mean, obviously, if we were.
I guess that's obvious, but then it's kind of sad to say that you actually know what's wrong and you're not doing the things to fix it.
Okay, but we have time.
Yeah, I know, but what's here? I have a question. What's worse, not knowing what you're doing and how it's wrong, or knowing what you're doing and how it's wrong and then not changing it?
You're right. I mean, as like your mother, and like even for myself, like I want to have some uh I don't want to say leniency exactly, but maybe like some space for like why are we in such a hurry? You know, like we have time to do it. Um Being here isn't just about success, in my opinion, at least. I want success though because I do like nice things. I like comfort and I like beauty and I like to travel like everybody else in the world and I like so
Not everybody likes to travel.
well that's true, that's true, but I think I'm just saying that like maybe being hard on yourself is part of the problem sometimes, like
Sure.
you're like spending time on, and a little bit of it's healthy too, like get your
Yeah.
ass up, bitch. Get your
Yeah.
ass up and go do what you got to do.
Yeah.
Because sometimes I have to talk to myself, and I've heard that from a lot of successful people, like Joe Rogan, and then like some other people that I've listened to, and they just like they're like they have a struggle every single day where they're like, get up,
Yeah.
go do it. Like you can't. Yeah, the bed's comfy.
Because the only thing
Yeah, the
worse,
beer sounds good. Like, but you got to do this.
yeah, you can say it a lot of ways. You miss 100% of the shots you don't take, or failure's better than misaction.
Yeah, there's a really good book called The War of Art. Not
The
the art
art
of
of war?
not the
No,
art
I'm
of
just
war. Nope, it's called The War of Art, and it talks about all the different things that stop you, and it's a really good book, and I almost wish I would just I have it on a, oh, what's that app?
Audible,
Not Audible.
Booksy.
No,
Well,
Kindle.
Amazon.
One of those.
Yeah.
And when I read that, it keeps me motivated because you realize like what's stopping you is just BS. It's always just BS. Like just keep
For me, it's
working.
a lot of mental. It's a lot of my own BS, being afraid of the outcome. But the thing is that you don't get anything from that. At least you get an outcome from the other one, and even if the outcome's awful, it's kind of like when you burn your hand on a stove. You know not to touch the stove or check it beforehand. You won't even know to even do that about something the next time.
Yeah.
And so that's why I judge myself for not acting. I've been pushing myself slowly and getting better about it, but I could do more. But then there's a limit to that. You don't need to be wild. You don't need to be too crazy. I mean, maybe you'll burn yourself really bad then, but
True.
hopefully you take the lesson from it.
Yeah.
And I truly do believe that everything has a lesson. Sometimes it doesn't outweigh the hurt or the badness of it, but there's always something small or large from anything that
To
happens.
learn, and there's also like the silver linings, whatever you want to call it. Yeah. Like
Yeah,
there's always something.
exactly.
There's always something positive to see, to learn. We good?
On that one,
You want to go more?
yeah, what's next?
I was going to ask you.
And that will be in part 2.